Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to an episode of my F1 2021 My Team Career Mode, episode number 68 today for the Japanese Grand Prix in Season 4. If you guys did miss the previous one uploaded just yesterday, then be sure to go check that one out. It was a very late, dramatic one at the Singapore Grand Prix. A fair few safety cars, as always is, around Singapore, and there was more chaos and randomness about the entire race because there was another different winner this season. I've lost count now. I think it's, what is it, 11? 11 different winners in 11 races, I think, because it was 10 at Monza, so I think 11 is at Singapore. It's just going mental. I don't know what the record is in Formula 1 for consecutive different winners from the beginning of a season. I'm pretty sure we've smashed that record. I don't know about the overall record about different winners overall, but it's been a bit of a madness. But I feel like we've now run out of drivers that could possibly win this one. Guan Yu Zhou, spoiler alert, last time was a massive outside shout. Never saw him winning because of the way he's been driving recently versus Bottas, but he somehow found himself in the lead and managed to hold it over Lando Norris and Sergio Perez, was it? So, you know, for us as a team, it was a bit more of a difficult Grand Prix. You know, at the end of it, we actually came away with a very good result, really, if you think about it. P4, Jenson, of course, was dealt a heavy blow with a DNF, a mechanical and engine issue. A mechanical issue slowed him down initially, and then an engine failure at the end of that one. Our engine also went up in smokes, but we limped home on the last lap to grab P4, but it means that our engine is, well, very worse for wear on the internal combustion side of things. So we're going to have to change that component because we need to get to the end of the season. Thankfully now, that should be it. That one final ICE should be enough to get us through to the end of the season. I really hope so. Obviously, Lady Luck could, you know, once again roll the dice for us and, you know, give us a random mechanical DNF later on this season. But I'm hoping that this will be enough to get us through to the end of the season. But it does mean a 10-place penalty again, like we had at the Italian Grand Prix. Hopefully this time round, there's not as much kind of, you know, jeopardy as there was around Italy when we did have that 10th-place position. But Japanese Grand Prix, happy hunting ground for myself. Of course, last season we got that really fantastic win here last time in that cherry blossom pink livery in the Coca-Cola. This time round, we're obviously sticking with the usual livery we've had, but I have got a special helmet in red to sort of give off the kind of vibe of the Japanese flag from the onboard and also the helmet itself. And coming into this race weekend, we lead the championship for the very first time ever in Season 4. As course, Button having a DNF, although annoying for the team and, you know, frustrating for him. For us, it's, you know, with P4 is, you know, 12 points in the bag over him completely. And so we take the lead by 6 points, I think it is. We've got Gasly, who is the fastest man in Q1 here. He is the man in 3rd place in the championship. And you've got still the likes of Ricciardo, Verstappen, Bottas. You know, they're still mathematically well in with a shout, and with how the season's gone in terms of these massive swings, you know, people going from, well, in the case of Bottas, winning a race at Monza and then scoring 0 points at Singapore, you just don't know what's going to be, what's going to occur in these last few rounds. So it is very much still an open goal for everyone, I feel, and, you know, kind of says a lot that this is literally the very first time we've led the championship, so it's still all to play for. We need to keep our head down and just try and get through these sessions as best we can. Q1 was a given. Q2, we are through. Looking quite quick, actually, there. Gasly again, though, looking strong in the Honda-powered AlphaTauri. Gasly, he's been going well in qualifying especially, has got very unlucky in races. I mean, just case in point, last race, you know, he was right up there with Jenson on the front row and then was not there to pick up the pieces in the top 5. But, you know, he's looking mighty strong. Jenson, a little bit lack of time there to us in Q2 down in P7, but he makes it through. Let's see if he can pick up the pace a little bit in the top 10 shootout. Let's see if we can maintain this same sort of pace. Right now, if we were to finish Q3 like we did Q2, that would be, you know, that would be, what was it, 3 P2s or 3 front rows in 4 races for us in terms of qualifying. So let's see what we can do. The first run across the line. It's a 1-2, provisional 1-2 right now for myself and Jenson. We're 6 thousandths off Button. He is on provisional pole. He's pulled out that out the bag. Very good pole lap for him right now, a provisional pole. We go again, second run, looking to improve, but the curb completely just sends us off and spits us out, and that is so frustrating because I think there was a little bit of time to find. Things are going to get close. Button goes again. He doesn't go quicker. Gasly, I can tell you, has gone quickest of all now. So Pierre Gasly is going quickest in all sessions. Verstappen across the line. He can't grab pole. It's only second place. So it will be the Frenchman, just like in the same way Button was fastest in every session at Singapore. Gasly is the same here on Saturday around Suzuka. Verstappen, look how close he was to pole position though in second place. Look how close the entire grid was. That's why it was so annoying. I only had to gain 1/10 and I would have been, you know, where Jenson was, or on the front row maybe even, you know, with 2/10 there. So fine. A small mistake ultimately cost us a lot down in P7. And remember, with our 10th place penalty, that means we'll be starting in P17. So following this qualifying, I thought, you know what, if we're starting P17, we may as well start P22. Only 5 places back, and I may as well take some free components on the engine side of things. So this is a big tactical decision, and a bit of a throw of the dice, but, you know, you got to do these things. But we've got the man in 3rd place in the championship, Gasly on pole. Verstappen in 5th place in the championship, or is it? He's in 2nd. We've got Button, our teammate, you know, 6 points back. He's qualified up there in P3. So to kind of, you know, except being right at the back of the grid, P22, this is a gamble, I will admit, but as I see it, starting P17, we may as well just take the pain of 5 more places, and we've got to try and hope we can come out swinging. We had a great race around here in Season 3. Hopefully we can try and channel that same sort of energy here today for Season 4. Let's go to it. Let's go to the grid. This may end up being quite a crucial race in the entire championship for us, as this is one where we're taking a gamble with these engine penalties.
We come to you live today from the Mie Prefecture in the south of Japan's Honshu Island for a race that has seen many title deciders over the years. Some simple, some controversial, but all contributing to a legacy that makes the Japanese Grand Prix an indispensable stop in any Formula One season. A lap of this historic racetrack covers 3.6 miles, and it's the only time during the season that we race on a figure-of-8 racetrack. The drivers can expect some intense G-forces through the 18 corners on offer here as they experience some of the highest average apex speeds on the Formula One calendar. And keep an eye out for overtakes going into the final chicane. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. A fantastic effort from Pierre Gasly yesterday puts him on pole, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Ricciardo, Yuki Tsunoda, and Mick Schumacher, Bottas, Sainz, Leclerc, and Lando Norris, Hamilton, Russell, Esteban Ocon, and Giovinazzi, Joe, Stroll, Callum Islet, and Nicholas Latifi, Matsushita, Lundgaard, Button, and the owner driver. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Well, I should have probably guessed it following his engine failure, you know, going up in smokes and having to retire from the race late on. But Jenson Button also is going to start alongside me on the last row of this grid. So this is a crucial race as a team, as a unit. We've got the 2 people leading the championship at the back of the grid. This is not only big for the Drivers' Championship, but this is big for the Constructors, you know. If one team was to get a 1-2 or, you know, just a strong finish, they're going to get a load of points on us, hypothetically, if myself and Jenson can't get some points. I'm hoping we can, though. Our car is looking in a good shape now. The last couple of races, we have some great race pace. Suzuka, I mean, clearly we had some good pace there because Button qualified P3. I think I could have got on the front row had I got a clean lap in for the second one. So I think we should have the pace to come through, but you never know sometimes because you get caught up in traffic, AI, you know, badly timed, you know, safety car or chaos or a crash. I don't know. You just can't call it, but I'm hoping that that from the last row, that we can at least get some points to limit the damage today. But it is going to be, well, all our rivals are going to be licking their lips. Gasly, Verstappen there, even the likes of Bottas, Ricardo, they've got a good chance to get a load of points on us today. So this is, well and truly a very important day in this championship fight in Season 4. It's overcast at the moment, but hopefully it won't be doom and gloom by the end of this one as we go to 5 red lights. So the Japanese Grand Prix, and we're underway from the last row of the grid. It's a really slow start for us, an amazing one for Button. He's already overtaken both of the Hasses before we get to turn 1. We're going to overtake them in turn 1 itself, so in the end, doesn't really matter too much that we got a poor getaway. We weren't really going anywhere in a hurry. It's always very frantic here at Suzuka on the opening lap. Hard to really make up the places. This has to be a patient drive from both myself and Button, a measured one in terms of not going in too hot. There's so many corners that invite you in for an overtake, and then you need to be careful, because if you don't have the overspeed, you don't have the complete space you need, you can get chopped off, at turn 1 into this section right here, even the hairpin, and then spoon curves as well. So many places that are inviting yet close up so quickly, so you need to make sure you're fully alongside someone to warrant the room that they hopefully will give you. We've got Gasly though still in the lead, then Perez up into second place though, so the Red Bull, really quick start from him. I think Perez was in P4 on the grid, wasn't he? I think he moved up to P3 thanks to Button going down the order. Verstappen now down to 3rd, Tsunoda P4, so a strong showing for AlphaTauri in the engine supplies home race, as well for Red Bull I guess, with Schumacher P6, but a long way down the order. Button in P18, myself P20. Looks like Jenson's actually already overtaken Latifi then, so he's got past 1 the Alfa Romeos. Can we try and do the same and dispatch of the Canadian in quick succession? And whilst we do that, looks like Button is going to be in the back of the Aston Martin of Callum Ilott. So we go on to lap 2 then. No DRS yet, but just ERS usage will be enough to get in the tow and get the move into turn 1. The Alfa Romeo has been overtaken, the Aston Martin has as well, by Button. So both of us kind of working at the same time in the same places, except for this one, as we make a kamikaze dive down the inside of Ilott, so much so that we take him so wide that Latifi gets down the inside. Look, it is what it is. I needed to make that move. I want to try and stick with Jenson, because remember, of course, he is my teammate, but he's also at the moment my main championship rival, you would say, being the man who's led the championship for so long. We finally dethroned him for one race going into this one, and he may be my all-time favorite F1 driver, but he is the man I'm going up against among others. So we need to try and make sure we can keep up with him as he just continues to cut through this grid, and we're going to try and do the same. He's already dispatched the Guan Yu Zhou then. We send one down the inside, the Chinese driver, the man who just won the last race, and he's racing us for P15 here. So that's how quickly things change in this season. But also we know Guan Yu Zhou's never been the greatest qualifier ever. He didn't qualify that well for Singapore either. So that's also, another kind of characteristic of this season. You can still be down the order and end up somehow winning this, winning a race basically. As we now are down the inside of Ocon into P14. Button ahead, P13, won't be for too long, it'll be P12. Jenson right now is pretty much guiding us through this kind of first part of this race. He is just cutting through everyone so supremely. Like, this is really impressive, because sometimes, there is a worry that the AI get caught up behind each other, even if they're a much quicker car, and that was a worry for me today in terms of, would we see a kind of bit of an unfair fight, maybe myself and Jenson here, because he's at the back of the grid, I am. Usually the player can, cut through the grid quite quickly versus AI sometimes, but it's kind of good in a way to see that Jenson is just as quick, if not actually quicker than me right now, because we're unable to actually catch him as he's in now for his first pit stop. Now, all of us looks like we're all doing a one stop here. Few people on mediums, including Leclerc there. I think Norris was as well, but he had a car issue, so he came in earlier. But everyone going from softs to, well, I believe a lot of them are going for the hard compound, but I stuck out for one more lap to drag out the tyres. A bit more tyre wear involved, but it means I'm going to put on the medium compound tyre. Now, this is what I believe we did last season, remember. We did the one stop onto the medium. It's the same thing that the Red Bull guys, I think, are doing with Perez for sure as well. Because the hard compound, for me at least, it's just so horrendous around Suzuka that I'd rather contend with the tyre wear at the end of this race and hopefully use the kind of fresher, quicker rubber to try and close up to the likes of Button and even further, obviously, up the grid as we both try and charge up, and Button making another overtake in this race on his old McLaren teammate Lewis Hamilton, and Jenson for the first time is in the points paying positions then here, having everyone, nearly everyone apart from Leclerc, making their pit stop. Can we now overtake Hamilton the same way down the inside of turn 1? No, not quite. A little bit too close for call. My fellow Brit defending quite harshly against me there into turn 1, but that was just poor timing of where we caught him, and poor timing here as well through 130R, catching him around the outside we go. Hamilton really aggressive, and he cuts across the curb and goes right to the white line to defend me. So Hamilton, I don't know what's gone on here. Maybe he's heard me in the commentary kind of, saying how poor he's been so far ever since season 2, because Hamilton's really defending with everything he's got versus me, but he did not do the same for his old teammate, his old pal maybe, Jenson Button, as Hamilton puts up the great wall, the great silver wall here in the silver arrow, as he remains in P10. This time we'll go to the inside at the chicane. Easy does it, give him the room. He's still kind of scaring me a bit here by being quite aggressive. I wasn't too sure we're going to make contact there, thankfully not. We're finally up into P10, but we've lost 4 seconds, or 3 rather, because we were 1 second behind, but we've lost 3 seconds to Button, so that's how much Hamilton's defence did a number on us. We now move into lap 17, then 10 laps to go. This one has actually flown by here, this race. Not much has actually happened at the sharp end. Still Gasly from Perez, Tsunoda, Verstappen. Tsunoda's jumped Verstappen then. Tsunoda's in P3. It's a 1-3 for AlphaTauri. It's an all Red Bull. 1, 2, 3, Hamilton! Oh, Hamilton's lost the back end at 130R, and there's a massive crash. There's a double crash. The Mercedes has been destroyed. Hamilton, I think he's okay, but his front and the rear got a clouting from a Ferrari and the Williams. Sainz is going to have damage. Guan Yu Zhou, last race's race winner, will have damage, and Hamilton is out of this one as he makes a mistake through 130R. Safety car is out then. Button going so Leclerc. Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? Leclerc has just brake checked me. What is going on? 5-second penalty. I got a 5-second penalty for that. My front wing's been taken off by a Ferrari, and I've got the 5-second penalty. What was Leclerc doing? Why was he stopping? I saw Jenson go a little bit slow, but then he continued on. But the Ferrari just parked the car. I don't know what he was doing. Let's look at a replay here. Safety car's out, obviously passing the safety car. Button goes. Look at Leclerc. You can see Button go away. So that's literally just Leclerc braking for whatever reason. It wasn't even like Button slowed Leclerc down, who then went into me. Leclerc on his own just slowed down and brake checked me. I wasn't sure what was going on. I was expecting him to accelerate, so we rolled the car through, because also if I stop, maybe Lando behind me crashes into my rear end and damages my rear end. I don't know. So I was expecting him just to go, but no. So here we are then in the pit lane. We've served our 5-second penalty the FIA have unfairly, I feel, given us. And we've changed our front wing. We've also changed onto the soft compound tyre, because we may as well now, under the safety car, we're down to P19. We may as well strap on the softest compound here and just go for it. So now we've got a 7-lap sprint. We're down in P19. I believe Button is now up into P7, maybe? He had overtaken Leclerc before the safety car came out, so I think he was actually indeed in P7 there. Leclerc is still up there in P8. I don't know whether he's got a penalty or not. I kind of sincerely hope he has. If I got one, at least it's, it would be fair to give us both a penalty then, because then you could just call it a racing incident, even though I do feel a bit hard done by. So here we go then, more drama in this race and championship, and for us, oh my god, we overtake Sainz, but then we hit the curb the same way we hit it in qualifying, just at turn 1, and we're drifting through into turn 1. I was basically a bit too eager there to really aggressively dive down the inside of turn 1. I'm not gonna lie, at this point the red mist had descended on me in the cockpit. I was just so peeved off at what had just happened there under the safety car. So that was kind of why we maybe made the mistake. A little bit flustered, over driving the car on the curb. So we have to go again and re-overtake Sainz. We get a 2-for-1 deal at the hairpin as we're up into P17 there. My engineer will go on to compliment me for that double overtake. And now we can try and get on the back of Lance Stroll and continue to make strides to try and limit the damage. I still think we can get maybe a point or two because we're on the soft compound. Everyone else is either on worn mediums or worn out hard tyres. So we are going to be the fastest man on this track, you would say, probably. So let's just keep it going as we've overtaken Latifi there, and we're going to get Giovinazzi now on this straight. We've got Ocon up the road as well. Guan Yu Zhou as well through 130R as we go through. Ocon slow, Guan Yu Zhou slow, and the Williams has got an issue. I think the Williams has an issue, and we narrowly just, quick thinking to dab on the brakes and make a double overtake there. So we've been gifted there by the Williams holding up Ocon whilst he retires or has an issue there. So commiserations to Guan Yu Zhou once again, showing he can go from such highs to such lows in Season 4 here as we look to overtake now Norris in the McLaren on the inside. We've got supreme pace. Ricciardo has got the fast lap of the Grand Prix at the moment, but surely this may be on to a purple, a new purple in this race. Green first sector, purple the second. Perez is in. Perez is in from his mediums, so he couldn't handle the tyre wear. So actually, ironically, does that mean that if we had stayed on the mediums, would we have had to make a late pit stop like this? Because Perez and me were the only guys on mediums doing that very audacious one stop, along with Ricciardo maybe, I think. And here he is, not having much pace as we look to overtake him now on the soft. So I think it's a 1-2 for AlphaTauri right now, It's Gasly from Tsunoda, and then it's Schumacher, I believe, as we go down the inside of Ricciardo, up into P8, back into P8 indeed, and we've got 1 lap left here. It is flown by. This has been a 7-lap sprint, and Leclerc is ahead of us. He does have a penalty. Leclerc does have a penalty. We're going to make the overtake anyway, but confirmation, the FI did think he was at fault as well as me, I guess then, but we make the move on Leclerc, and whilst we do it, in turn 1, Tsunoda is side by side with Gasly. The two AlphaTauris are battling for the lead. Gasly dips a tyre into the grass, but Tsunoda dances round the outside in the S section in Sector 1, and he's up into P1. Gasly's been leading the whole way, but Tsunoda on the last lap of the Grand Prix into turn 1 sent it on the inside. We cut on the perfect time to see that really titanic battle between the two AlphaTauris, and so could Tsunoda be on to win this Grand Prix? Gasly may have one last chance through 130R, but Schumacher P3 behind Verstappen, Bottas. Button is in P6. We're P7 now, having made the overtake, so it's a good recovery with all things considered. We're going to lose some points to Button, but it's damage limitation as best we can. But Gasly, he'll still be pretty happy with P2 with 18 points because he may take the lead of the championship with this, but it doesn't matter because the main focus is the man in P1. The Japanese driver with a Japanese powered car is coming through the last bend to win the Japanese Grand Prix. Yuki Tsunoda is a winner in Formula 1. What a win! What a win for Tsunoda, and that makes it another different winner. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding? 12 different winners in the first 12 races of this season. That is bonkers.
Here's our winner pulling their AlphaTauri into Parc Ferme. What a fantastic race. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, they played the safety car to absolute perfection. There are so many factors to worry about once the race is neutralised. I mean, do you pit for fresh rubber? Do you have the space behind you? How much fuel can you save? If you answer all of those questions correctly, you'll have a good chance. And that's exactly what happened today.
As we await the winners to take their positions on the podium, one thing is clear. AlphaTauri have really shown their prowess on the track. This is a team that isn't afraid to take risks, whether that's on the circuit or in the new talent they hire. Today, those risks certainly paid off.
If this was real life, you can imagine how buzzing this crowd would be to see a Japanese driver, especially Yuki, who's so loved by the fans, in P1 there. It's a 1-2 for AlphaTauri as well. They've beaten out they've embarrassed Red Bull today. They're the top Red Bull team now, I think, in the standings as well, AlphaTauri, with this 1-2. And like I said, Gasly, he'll be maybe annoyed to lose the win on the last lap, but he'll still get 18 points and take the lead of the Drivers' Championship for the first time, I think, as well, for him as well. So a lot of first timers on the standings wise. He's 1 point ahead of myself, and we're 6 points ahead of Jenson, who obviously, you know, got some points on us, but not too many really, with us being able to recover quite nicely up into P8 eventually, having made that extra pit stop under the safety car. Gasly, though, firmly has arrived into this fight with myself and Button, and really now it's a fight between me and Gasly here. Button's the one trailing a little bit, but don't count him out. He's been so consistent and so fast this entire season. I'm sure there's more twists and turns to come in this season. We thankfully still lead the constructors by a healthy margin, despite AlphaTauri having the 1-2, because they were actually way down the order in the standings. We've said this before. They've been massively underperforming as a team, I would say, as a duo. You know, Gasly's been there in the top 5 in the championship, but both him and Yuki have got so unlucky that they were actually still behind Ferrari, Mercedes, and Red Bull in the standings. You know, I thought this was where they kind of were going to be based off their qualifying pace the whole season, and so there they are then, up into P4. It's ourselves, McLaren, Williams, and AlphaTauri in the top 4. That's bonkers. That's such a massive shift away from the traditional teams in the top flight. It's so awesome to see. This is what you want to see in a career mode, multiple seasons in, a real difference in terms of the smaller quote-unquote teams, you know, being at the sharp end there of Formula 1, but McLaren, somehow McLaren are there. You know, they haven't really looked like, neither of their drivers are really in the fight completely in the championship, drivers-wise, and yet they're both doing an okay enough job together to still be there in second place. It's, yeah, very, very odd, but what a race. What a mad last lap there for Tsunoda, and it's another different winner. This season just keeps on getting more and more iconic, and then for us, you know, bittersweet in terms of it was a tough race anyway, and then, I mean, I'm still just baffled by that AI behavior from Leclerc under the safety car, but it is what it is. We go on and we march on and try and get back against Gasly and continue to try and control Button, but obviously he looks so quick today. I'm a little bit worried how quick he was, to be honest, but we'll move on to the next one and see how it goes then. Guys, if you did enjoy the episode, hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.